Not even 2 seconds later for me, but I know this is YouTube bad internet will do whatever the fuck you do. Anyway, reading more Kant, The Critique of the Power of Judgment for school and Valentine's Day. What a fun life. The third movement, 12th section. I think that's what those little S symbol-y things mean. I really don't know. Dyslexia hits me hard. But fuck it. Absolutely fuck it. Okay. The judgment of taste rests on a priori ground. The established a priori, the connection of feeling of pleasure or displeasure as an effect with some representation, sensation, or concept, as its cause of as is absolutely impossible, for that would be a causal reaction, which among objects of experience can only ever be cognized as a priori or a posteriori, and by means of experience itself. To be sure, the critique of practical reason we are actually derived from the feeling of respect as a special and particular modification of this feeling, which will not coincide exactly either with the pleasure or with the displeasure that we obtain from empirical objects, from universal moral concepts a priori, but there we could also step beyond the bounds of experience to appeal to a causality that rests on a superstantial property of the subject, namely that of freedom. But even there we did not actually derive this feeling from the idea of a moral as a cause. Rather, it was merely the determining of the will that was derived from the latter. The state of mind of will determined by something, however, in itself already a feeling of pleasure, and it's identical with, however, is in itself already a feeling of pleasure and is identical with it. Thus, it does not follow from it as an effect. The latter would only have to be assumed if the concept of moral as good preceded the determination of the will by the law, for in that case it would be pointless for the pleasure that would be connected with the concepts to be derived from its mere cognition. I'm really hungry and I want to go to get dinner. I don't want to do my homework. It's really hard to read. Okay, but I'm going to do it and it's going to be done. That's great. Couple more paragraphs and then I can take a break. Okay. Enough about me, more about Kant. Now it is similar with the pleasure in the aesthetic judgment, except that here it is merely contemplative and does not produce an interest in the object, while in the moral judgment it is practical. The consciousness of the merely formal purposiveness in the play of cognitive powers of the subject in the case of representation through which an object is given the pleasure itself, because it contains a determining ground of the activity of the subject with regards to the animation of its cognitive powers. Thus, the internal causality, which is purposive, with regards to cognition in general, but without being restricted to a particular cognition, hence it contains a mere form of the subjective purposiveness of a representation in an aesthetic judgment. This pleasure is also in no way practical, neither like that from the pathological ground of agreeableness, nor like that from the intellectual ground of represented good. But yet it has a causality in itself, namely that of maintaining the state of representation of the mind and the occupation of the cognitive powers without a further aim. We linger over the consideration of the beautiful because this consideration strengthens and reproduces itself with its analogous whatever the fuck that word is, which is analogous to yet not identical with the way in which we linger when a charm in the representation of the object repeatedly attracts attention, where the Okay, I'm gonna try this again, and then I need a goddamn break. We linger over the consideration of the beautiful because this consideration strengthens and reproduces itself, which is analogous to, yet not identical with, the way we linger when a charm in the representation of the object repeatedly attracts attention, where the mind is passive. Fuck yes. Okay. I must see you next time. I need a nap.